What's up, everybody? Void here, and today I'm going to be discussing movement in MultiVersus, and the main thing, of course, that I know you guys are wondering, can you wave dash? Well, yes you can. So for starters, I'm going to go over the ground movement, kind of let you know what's up. So ground movement in this game is pretty solid, in my opinion. Dash dancing is pretty good, it's pretty snappy, you can act at any point out of your dash. You don't really have to worry about your dash kind of being interrupted by an initial dash of some sort. You can do pretty much anything at any point of your dash. There is crouching in this game, but there's not really crawling, so you cannot be moving while crouching when it comes to MultiVersus. You can kind of cancel the initial startup of your dash with crouch. At a certain point, it kind of just like slows down into it. But at the beginning, you can go like immediately in a crouch. Not really useful, but it is there. And when you dash, you do start at full speed. But one thing to note is you can start a little slower if you slightly tilt your stick. You kind of have like a slow startup, and you can even run a little slower. So overall ground movement, just in terms of moving, is really good. You can honestly just play neutral like this. A lot of people jump in this game, kind of in like every platform fighter. But the ground movement's no joke, and I think that's really good. Now, one very important thing to note in this game is regarding your jumps and your specials in the air. So every character in this game has 2 jumps, 1, 2, but you can get a third jump via perks. It is a utility perk. You get a third jump if you hit an enemy, or if you stack it with a teammate, you can always have a third jump. Really good perk. So everybody has 2 jumps, 3 with a perk. This is pretty important as it comes to, you know, chasing people off stage, surviving, all that stuff. Now, another thing that happens when it comes to MultiVersus is each character has 2 specials that they can use in the air. I know you might be thinking, 2 specials, what? Well, let's see, 1, 2. You can kind of hear how there's like the right? You can't do another one.
You fight well.
So you can only do 2 specials each time you're in the air. And that goes, you know, you can do your up special twice, maybe help a little more with recovery. Maybe you can do like the side specials, stuff like that. So not only do you have to keep track of your jumps, you also have to keep track of how many specials you're using. And not only that, when you're in the air, you have 2 dodges, which you can dodge kind of in any direction, where you can go up, down, left, right. Dodges are really good mobility as well. So there's a lot of ways to be mobile in this game when it comes to being in the air. But you do have to keep track of your resources. One thing you might have noticed is this blue bar under my character. So this is like a stamina bar. So the more you dodge, your stamina bar will get used up, and your dodges will have less and less invulnerability. Now, of course, when it's low, you notice Arya is not flashing anymore. So you can't just expect to, you know, dodge like this and just have perma-invuln while you're dashing down. You kind of have to manage your stamina to make sure your dodges still have invulnerability. Now, the last thing regarding the aerial mobility is fast falling. Now, fast falling is pretty interesting in this game, as you can fast fall and you can stop. You don't have to commit to a fast fall and then just be fast falling the whole time. You can stop your fast fall kind of at any point. All you do is just let go of down. And it can make for some interesting both escaping out of disadvantage. You know, maybe you don't want to fast fall all the way off stage. Or maybe you want to recover. You want to fast fall over here to recover lower instead of fast falling straight to the blast zone. There's a lot of ways that you can use this fast falling, even with like aerial attacks, you know. One interesting thing I see with fast falling is you can dodge and then fast fall afterwards, kind of making like a neat little arc if you want to get away from certain disadvantage situations. You can even go up, jump, fast fall, get around people. There's a lot of ways that you can control your character in the air in MultiVersus. Now, one thing, of course, when it comes to mobility, you always have to think about the platforms. So when it comes to platforms, you can get off of a platform by pressing down and jump. Really easy, super simple. I love platform fighters that have that in the game. You can also double tap down if you'd like to get off of a platform, kind of maybe a more traditional method. So they do have the 2 ways to get off of the platform, which I think is really nice. One very neat thing as well with platforms is if you use an aerial and you don't fast fall, you'll land on a platform. However, if you do an aerial and fast fall, you will go through the platform. I think that's really interesting to note when you want to land on the platform or not. It can be really easy to make this type of a mistake in other platform fighters. So I think having the alternative there, if you do want to simply go through the platform, is really good. Now you can waveline on platforms, but with the mechanic I just mentioned, you have to waveline and you have to let go of down in order to kind of stay on the platform, as far as I'm concerned. So it makes it a little difficult because, you know, it's a very fast like sequence. But I'm sure you'll get the hang of it. It's pretty useful. Now the last area that mobility is important, or movement is important, is on top of a wall. Now on top of a wall, this can be some of the scariest disadvantage in the game, where your character will slowly slide downwards, you're really close to the bottom blast zone, and there's no ledge. So you can't grab the ledge, get some invuln, and, you know, think of what to do from there. You're already in disadvantage once you're on the wall. So what can you do? Well, one thing with being on the wall that you get is you get a wall jump. And this wall jump does not count as a jump. So you would actually get a wall jump here, and you still have 2 aerial jumps to kind of get back from disadvantage. It's pretty insane. Being on the wall is really nice. You can even like dash off the wall if you want. If you want to like get to that spot a little more safely. But your character will slowly fall. You might think like, oh, maybe I can just stall. It's really hard to simply be on the wall in this game. This is one of the scariest spots to be. A lot of characters have really strong downers that can kill you really early. So just remember to play it safe on the wall. You do have a lot of time to work with and a lot of resources to work with, as touching the wall does give you everything back. Where you get your double jump back, you get your special uses, and of course you have the initial wall jump when it comes to being on the wall. So keep all of that in mind when you are on the wall. It can be really scary, but there's a lot of options as the player in disadvantage to use. Now some of you ult players might be wondering, you know, what about them slingshots? Well, there's not really slingshotting in this game, as there's not like a turnaround. The dashing is just really good, and you can turn around in the air. So there's not really a use outside of, I mean, there's just not really a use. Like, you can kind of emulate it, but, you know, the idea is there, and I think the idea can still be really good. But, yeah, slingshots, unfortunately, not really in the game. Except for Tom and Jerry. Tom and Jerry have slingshots. So yeah, that's kind of everything regarding sheer mobility that works across the board. Every character has access to these options. Every character can move pretty nicely, just overall. So yeah, that's kind of it regarding sheer mobility across the board. I think movement in MultiVersus is really nice. I think it can be a little hard to get used to, but there are a lot of just like nice workarounds. The aerial creativity that you have, both in advantage and disadvantage, is really nice. You know, even using like air dodges upwards to try to catch people feels kind of similar to some other fighters I've played, but just the sheer amount of things that you can do is just really, really nice in my opinion. And, you know, I can't wait for the mobility to even start leveling up throughout this closed alpha. And thanks to Warner Brothers Games for providing me access to the closed alpha. So that's all. Thanks for watching. See you guys in the next video. Peace.